Hey guys, Phil from Trail Talk here, and today we're going to be looking at the 2022 Merida bikes lineup. All right, so let's jump into it. So I know a few of you might not be familiar with Merida bikes coming from the US, but these bikes are available in Australia as well as Europe as well. I know that they aren't available in the US because Merida has an agreement with Specialized, who Merida make a lot of their bikes and own a share in Specialized as well, so they can't sell their bikes in the US. So this one's mainly going to be for the European and Australian market because a lot of people in Australia 99 Bikes sell these bikes, so they're going to be very popular. So let's jump in and take a look at the bikes. So let's jump into the hardtails first, because I know a lot of you will want to know about the Merida Big Trail, which I think is one of the best value trail hardtails on the market. So we'll jump down to the Big Trail here. So the entry level model here, these are retail prices in Australian dollars. So I know a lot of you are going to be saying that you can find it cheaper at 99 Bikes, but this is all the retail price. So this one, you can get a little bit cheaper, and I think this is a bit of a game changer when it comes to trail hardtails, because you're getting those boost through axles at a really, really good price. So getting that great frame. So digging into the geometry of the bike first, we'll go to that. Let's get back up here. Geometries. Where you're going to be really impressed is the geometry of the bike. So the seat tube is on the shorter side. So say on that XL, it's 450 millimeters. So if you want to size up, you definitely can. So you can pick the reach that suits your needs. So on that XL, which I'd probably pick 475 mil reach, and then on that large 455, so you can pick it there. But the stacks are very high. So 650 and 659 on that XL and that large and extra large there. So the reach will feel a little bit bigger because the stack's high, so you can put those bars a little bit lower and it'll feel a little bit more roomy. So that's good to see. So I definitely would try one out size-wise to see what the difference kind of feels like. The head tube angle, 65.5, 75.5 degrees on the seat angle. So really good. Short chain stays, 435 too. So it's going to be super fun, super capable bike. And at this price point, it's tough to beat. So as I said, you're getting those through axles there. We'll just double check on the front what kind of, I believe it is a through axle. I believe it is, but you are getting a coil fork at this price point, but you are getting a 1x drivetrain, internal dropper post ready. You've got 2 bottle mounts in the triangle as well as an accessory mount. So this thing's going to be primed for an upgrade with that tapered head tube there. Put a nice boost fork on there, and then you also put that dropper in there. It's going to be absolutely dialed. So if you're looking to get the most capable bike that you can progress on as you kind of progress as a rider, this is probably the best value one if you can't afford kind of spending that $1,500 range for a bike with a dropper post from factory. So this one, most upgradable bike for the year, I reckon, if you're looking for something that's around that $1,000 to $1,200 mark. But if you can afford a little bit more, I would definitely recommend that Big Trail 600 is my favorite in the lineup. You can go the 500, so you get that dropper post, a bit better of an airfox, again, that RockShox Recon, I believe. But I think it's worth going up. So, yep, RockShox Recon. I think it's worth going up to that 600 where you're getting that Marzocchi Z2, which is an absolute awesome fork. There's nothing to really upgrade here. So you're getting Dior 12 speed, that fork, decent brakes, Shimano M4100, so not the best, but still decent. And then, yeah, so 12 speed, dissector tires, pretty much nothing really to upgrade on this bike. It's might put some slightly grippier tire on the front there, save that dual compound dissector for the rear. But yeah, really, really good bike. So if you're looking for a great value trail hardtail, I think this is one of the best ones on the market. So we'll quickly look at the other hardtails, but nothing too much to note on the. So you got the Big 9, which is kind of your classic kind of XC style hardtail. So more of those entry level bikes. They do go up to more expensive price points, which is going to be more of an XC race bike. But yeah, if you're looking for kind of a decently spec bike that you're going to be riding on bike paths, gravel roads, and stuff like that, you can't go wrong with the Big 9 or the Big 7 as well. There's some good options there. Some one buy options at a decent price too. But yeah, again, if you want to start pushing the descents and stuff like that, that Big Trail is the one to go for. So we'll jump into some dual suspension bikes now. And we'll start with the marathon downcountry. We'll just go into the downcountry because I know a lot of you are going to be kind of looking at that 96. So the 96, I believe it came out last year, so updated. So it's classic down country bike. So the entry level, I believe them. Don't think there is an alloy model. We'll look at the XC versions. No, so it looks like there's only the carbon only. So yeah, we'll go back to the down country ones. So yeah, we'll go to that 96 6,000 here. So $6,000 carbon frame, SID, getting the remote lockouts on both of those as well. Again, you can probably get this cheaper price. These are all retail prices, but Fox DPS, SLX, brakes, SLX as well. So you get the 4-piston up front, 2-piston in the rear. So nice little downcountry setup there. Minion DHRs on the aggressive side for this kind of bike, but would be nice to see maybe something like a Recon rear dissector front for more of a downcountry style bike. But yeah, I think it'll be still decently efficient, the bike, but the tires might slow you down for this specific use case. On the more of the trail bikes, these DHRs might be a better option. But looking at the Geo, 67 head angle, 75 seat angle, so classic kind of downcountry bike there. And then on the reaches, kind of 460, stack 605. So it's very much kind of on that more XC downcountry stuff side of bikes. So if you're looking for a nice, fast, efficient bike that you can have a little bit of fun on, but also race some XC and stuff like that, I think it's going to be a good option there. So looking at the value kind of front of things, this one, not necessarily the best on the market, but still good. Still on the good side. And then when we're talking about that big trail earlier, forgot to put it up, amazing value. But we'll jump onto one of my favorite bikes in the lineup, and we'll go into the trail bikes. And this is going to be the Merida 120. A few of these frames, so going from here forward, so the Merida 120, 140, 160, they've been around for a fair few years now. Not kind of even pushing almost 5 years, I believe now as well. So the geometry is a little bit on the dated side. So if you do prefer more of a more nimble bike, something that's got a little bit more agility, I think these guys are great options. So if new school geometry really is in your flavor, I think these are going to be a good option. And they're still pretty capable, especially that 160. For when it came out, the geometry was pretty progressive then. So now it's kind of middle of the road kind of geometry. So the 120, 140, a bit more conservative, but for the price point, there's some great options here. So we'll jump into my favorite in the lineup, which I believe is the 120 600, which again, you can find a little bit cheaper than this price here. But I think it's spec'd amazingly for the money. And when I reviewed the 120 back in the day, I was really surprised. Super agile. The rear suspension's super supple, but still firm enough when you really want to put down power through the pedals. It still firms up really nicely, but it's really active over that chunky stuff. I was really impressed, and it's kind of got that old school Trek full float suspension style. So as the suspension compresses, the bottom part of the suspension kind of pulls away as well. And it really gives you kind of like a more bottomless kind of feel. So for that 120 mil rear travel, I was really impressed at how good it was. And to be honest, I preferred the 120 over the 140, even on the descending side of things. So that's how impressed I was with the bike. I think those 29-inch wheels helped a fair bit there as well. So you've got that 130 mil Marzocchi Z2 up front, then RockShox Deluxe Select Plus in the rear. So you get that lockout as well as rebound adjustment. Then drivetrain, Shimano, you're getting a derailleur, you're getting an XT rear derailleur, which is cool. And then you're getting Shimano M6100, so it's your 12-speed there as well. So that big range on that. Dropper post, in terms of the brakes, M6100 as well. So really, really good spec for the money. I'm really, really impressed with this one. Not my favorite tires with the Forecasters, so I'd probably keep that front one for the rear and chuck something a little bit better on the front, something like a Dissector or a Recon, or if you want a bit more grip, you could put that DHR on the front there, but make sure you get that, probably that Max Terra 3C compound. I think that's probably the one to go. Then the rear, you could use a Speed Grip or even that Max Terra as well, but I think these Forecasters will be a good candidate to have that one just on the rear until you kind of wear those out. But yeah, I'm really, really like this bike. The geometry, as I said, nothing groundbreaking. So you're getting on those size larger. So small and medium, you get 27.5 inch, then small, medium, large, extra large, you can get 29. But yeah, on those 29 inch models, 67.3 degree head angle. So on the steeper side, but it does make it nice and fun and agile. And then you got a 75.5 degree seat angle. So nice and steep, but you do have a slightly shorter effective chop tube. That seat angle is a little bit longer. Sorry, that seat tube's a little bit longer at that 480. So might be limited in terms of long dropper posts, as you might not be able to fit a long one with that seat optimal seat height that you need in the climbing, as that seat tube's a little bit on the long side. But the reach 455, stack 616, so not the longest reach out there, but again, that lends to the more playful side of the bike. So I think it's going to be a good one. Great one for Australian conditions, especially where I'm up in southeast Queensland, where you've got a lot of XC and trail kind of side of things. I think this is a great bike. So definitely check this one out. And if we're talking value, excellent value in terms of the parts you're getting, in terms of the geometry on the good side, so kind of in between that there. So jumping back out in terms of the other builds, you got the entry level. I believe the entry level is the 400. So you're getting dropper post, decent drivetrain, not the best fork, but again, at that price point, getting into a dual suspension bike with all the things that you need, that's going to be a great option. But I think that 600 where the value is at, if you're looking for the best price, best spec for the money. So we'll jump onto the 140, which again, won't spend too much time. This one's all 27.5 inch wheels. But again, kind of a little bit more on the agile side of things in terms of a trail bike with 140 mil suspension. So not the longest. The geometry is almost identical to the 120, apart from the head angle being a little bit slacker. So as you can see, set at 67.3, you're getting a 66.3. So a degree slacker head angle, similar seat tube. Length as well, so 475. But you're just getting those 27.5 inch wheels and slightly longer travel and that same reach at 455. So it's really on the trail, you don't notice too much difference between this bike. It feels like, you know, a lot of bikes where they have just like the same bike and you just have slightly slacker head angle for the 27.5 inch option. It feels like that. I didn't notice a big difference in the way that the rear suspension performed on these bikes. Only when it got super fast and chunky that you did notice that the 140 had a little bit more in reserve. But I didn't notice a huge difference. So if you're tossing up between the two bikes, I like to lean more towards the 120 side of things. But if you are doing a little bit more chunky stuff and faster stuff, you might like the 140, but those 29 inch wheels, I feel, make up around 10 mil of that travel difference between the two bikes. But yeah, the 140 600 is probably the build to go for, like the other one as well. So going to go good value, because I feel like for a 140 mil travel bike, it could show a little bit more compared to that 120, which I think is a really excellent value bike. I don't feel there's too much of a difference between those bikes to justify upgrading to that 140. But the 160 is a good option if you're looking to starting pushing those descents a little bit more. So we'll jump into the 400 model, which is $3,699 retail price. So you're getting that Dior 12 speed by the looks of it. Yep. Dior 11 speed with the wider range cassette. So you've got, I believe, so you've got that 11 speed with the wider range, that 11 to 51 tooth. Yari up front, so it's going to be nice and upgradable. Deluxe Select Plus. Would be nice to see a piggyback, but I like to think of this more of a long-legged. It's kind of more of that all-mountain side of things, so might not need it on everything, on all the descents, especially in Australia. We don't have the longest descents, so it would be nice to see that piggyback, but we'll jump into the geometry on this one. So on that size large, you're getting a 474 reach. So as you can see, compared to those 120 and 140 mil models, the geometry is a little bit more progressive on the reach side of things. And then you also got a 65.3 degree head tube angle and 75 degree seat angle. So for a frame that's around 4 or 5 years old when it came out, the geometry is actually pretty decent. The only thing that you're really going to see these days is a slightly slacker head angle and steeper seat angle, but a 75 degree seat angle is still good enough for most people. So I wouldn't be too worried about the geometry, especially if you're looking for something more playful. But on that, I like that it's got good tire spec on there as well. You're getting those assegais and dissectors in the 3C Maxterra compound. Even that dissector comes in the double down casing in the rear, and that assegai has double down up front as well in the max grip. So really great tire spec. They haven't skimped anything there. So Merida always spec their bikes very well. So that's going to be a good one if you're kind of getting into it. But if you want to push the descents a little bit more, that 160-700. So you're getting that Bomber Z1, DPX2 in the rear. So you're getting a bit better shock. So with that piggyback, XT, mixture of XT, SLX, and also the, looks like the Dior cassette, if I'm wrong there, but the photos say it, but the photos can also be wrong. But yeah, other than that, SLX brakes too. Really, really good stuff. So the spec that you're getting on that one's really impressive. Alloy frame. So that's up there with some decent value too. So we're going to give that one good value as well. I really like this bike. I had this one for a while, the 160-700 back in the day, not this exact spec, but I took it to Queenstown Bike Park and I was really impressed with it in New Zealand. So I think it's going to be a great bike if you're looking to push the descents a little bit more on the more playful side of an enduro bike, but you got those 27.5-inch wheels. So if you want to have a bit of fun, 160 in the rear, 170 up front from my recollections. Yeah. So it's going to be a great fun bike. Still up to date with all the standards and boosts and all that kind of stuff like that. Metric shocks and stuff like that. So it hasn't fallen too far behind as things have gotten upgraded over the years. But you also got some cool features there, like that multi-tool that's under the saddle on a lot of the Meridas as well. Yeah, so really impressive bike for the money there too. So let's jump into e-bikes quickly. Won't spend too much more time here. We'll just look at the E160 and E140. So E160, it's always been praised as one of the best value e-bikes on the market. The spec that you're getting for the money is really, really impressive. So we'll look quickly at the E160 500. So this one's 6,999 Australian dollars. So you're getting that. So prices might seem a bit more expensive compared to the US and prices that we've been looking at before, but really good spec for the money. Again, not my favorite RockShox Recon, RockShox 34 Gold fork, but you're getting the EP8. You're getting a 630 watt hour battery, smaller battery on the extra small because of the frame limitations there. But other than that, really good spec for the money. I think they weigh around about, off the top of my head, 4 kilos around that. We'll see what one of the slightly better spec builds. So pretty standard weight for a full-size e-bike. So I think this will probably be one of the most popular builds here, the 160-700, that Bomber Z1 DPX2. So weight on this one's around 24 kilos. So yeah, kind of moderate to on the slightly heavy side, but I've heard good things about the bikes in terms of the way that they ride. Geometry is pretty decent too. I think it should make for a really comfortable bike, decently tall stack there as well. Decently steep seat angle, 75.5, not super crazy, but should be comfortable if you're pedaling all day. 65.5-degree head angle, so not crazy, super slack enduro bike. I think it's kind of going to be a good kind of all-mountain bike that's probably got a little bit more forgiveness than other all-mountain bikes that have a little bit less travel. But in terms of the geometry, it's more on that all-mountain side of things these days. But great spec for the money, so check those out. In terms of value, kind of excellent to good value on these bikes. There's some great value e-bikes, especially in Australia. 99 Bikes, you can get some decent deals there from them. But we'll quickly look at the 140 mil version. In terms of e-bikes, 140 mil, E140. In terms of e-bikes, people have different opinions when it comes to shorter travel e-bikes around 140 mil. I still feel like they ride differently. So when you got that shorter travel, they're a bit more poppy and playful, but with the weight, it is harder to maneuver these bikes, but the ride manners do change a bit. So if you aren't doing any super crazy descents or you're just shuttling purely for longer descents, then the 140 might be a good option for you if you're doing a fair bit of trail riding, as well as the odd self-shuttling kind of day as well. Personally, if I was going to get one in the lineup, I'd probably get the 140 as well. I probably wouldn't get the E160. So looking at this one, the E140 700, so decent spec here too. So we'll jump into the specs. So you're getting Fox Rhythm 34. So it would be nice to see a 36 on an e-bike, but it is the e-mountain bike version, so it should be a little bit stiffer and tuned for the slightly heavier weights. EP8, 630 watt hour battery, decent spec with that XT Dior cassette. It's good to see the Dior cassette wears a little bit better than those XT and SLX models that have the alloy cogs towards the high end of things. But yeah, really good spec for the money. And then the geometry is not bad too. you will probably size up. So I'll probably go the extra large, being at my height. So I'm 6'1", reach 469, so around 470, stack 635. So nice there, should be nice and comfortable. And short chain stays on these e-bikes too, 439.5. That's really impressive. Should make it nice and fun. And 66.5-degree head angle and 76.5-degree seat angle. So should be a great all-around bike. I prefer the geometry of this one compared to the E160. Especially in that extra large there, the slightly steeper seat angle. And I tend to like the way that this one looks a little bit better as well. But again, if you're going to be pushing the descents a little bit more, I think the E160 is probably the one for you. But yeah, that pretty much rounds up the main bikes from Merida. If you've got any questions about the bikes, definitely leave them in the comments below. One or two of them might feature in the buyer's guides as well. So I think especially that Merida Big Trail is a great option if you're looking for a trail hardtail. And then that Merida 120 is a good option if you're looking for an entry-level dual suspension bike as well. It's going to be nice and versatile, still plenty of fun. So not suck the fun out of the trails like a lot of dual suspension bikes do. But then, yeah, it's still going to be super versatile, and then they give you plenty of room to progress as well. And then you can kind of either stay on a 120 mil bike. I think a lot of people only really need a 120 mil bike, or you can progress to more enduro and all mountain bikes as well. But yeah, as always, guys, thanks for watching, and leave any comments below if you've got any questions as well. See ya.